A Chinese web moderator shares what internet comments thereafter and how they personally feel about it. Once home to bustling wholesale malls, China's Yiwu city now is struggling to stay afloat. A Wuhan volunteer accepting foreign media interviews talking about the situation of the outbreak, now threatened by police. Deleted university web pages show the CCP is controlling the narrative on the origin of the virus. Now all research needs to be approved by authorities before being published. American lawyer and FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr challenges China's foreign ministry's claims of transparency. Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. A video shows an ambulance outside of the second high school of a city in Henan province. The province neighbors Hubei, the epicenter of the CCP virus. In the video, you can see medical workers wearing protective suits. The person taking the video says they've brought several students away. According to Chinese media, 12th graders in Henan province resumed school on April 7th, and 9th graders resumed school on April 13th. Chinese media have not reported any confirmed or suspected cases of the virus from schools in the province so far. We previously reported on a recent study that found 3 types of the CCP virus. Here's a deeper dive. The Cambridge study is titled Phylogenetic Network Analysis of SARS-CoV-2 Genomes. It was published last week by Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. It studied the first 160 complete viral genomes from the earliest patients across the world. It then mapped the family tree of the genomes. The genomes are categorized into 3 distinct types, A, B, and C. Type A is considered the root of the outbreak since it's the most similar to the bat virus. Among the 44 samples of type A, 16 are from mainland China. Of the 16, 2 from Wuhan and 4 from Guangdong carry the ancestral genomes. 1 is from both Hong Kong and Taiwan. 9 are from other Asian countries and carry a mutated version of A. Another 9 are from America, also carrying mutated versions of A. 2 of the American patients are reported to have lived in Wuhan. 5 are from Australia and 3 from Europe. Type B is mutated from A. Among the 93 cases, 58 are from China, 16 from other Asian countries, 8 from the US, 3 from Canada and Mexico, 7 from Europe, and 1 from Australia. Type C, daughter of B, was most common in Europe. 11 out of 23 seen in early patients from France and Italy, Sweden, and England. Of the rest, 6 are from Asia, 2 from Australia, and 1 each from Taiwan, Hong Kong, the US, and Brazil. Experts tell us that since type A is the root of B and C, and 6 cases from mainland China carry the ancestral genome of type A, we can trace all cases back to China. China has been pushing world leaders to change the narrative on the origin of the CCP virus. Chinese officials have asked German Federal Ministry officials and employees to say China has been handling the coronavirus outbreak well. The German Foreign Ministry has told ministers not to meet the requests. Cybersecurity researchers found that China has been buying up ads on U.S. social media sites to change the narrative on the virus. Consulting from Recorded Future found that from mid-February to early March, Chinese state media posted more than 3,300 times a day. That's triple the normal rate. The activity was mostly on Facebook and Twitter. These posts are meant to create doubt and anger around basic facts surrounding the virus, sometimes even going as far as promoting fake claims. China's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chenying posted on Twitter saying, "You are welcome to China anytime to talk with anyone in the streets and experience the freedom." FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr, in response, asking to speak with the 9 citizen journalists in China who all disappeared or died after trying to expose the virus. Carr wrote, "First, I would like to speak with Dr. Ai Fen. Dr. Fen worked at the same hospital in Wuhan as whistleblower Dr. Li Wenliang, and is the one who gave the information on the virus to Dr. Li. After coming forward in an interview in March, her social media is being updated, but no media can reach her. Her actual situation is unclear." Carr then writes, "Could you undisappear her so we could speak?" Tens of thousands of comments criticizing the Chinese government are scrubbed from the internet on a daily basis. That's according to a report by Bitter Winter, an online organization focused on human rights in China. Mr. Liu is a web moderator for a famous digital platform in China. The report gave him a pseudonym to protect his safety. Every day, Liu's job is to delete online comments that criticize the Chinese government. He's become even busier since the start of the virus pandemic. That's because all posts that question China's official virus reports and those that criticize the Chinese leaders for mishandling the crisis have to be deleted as soon as possible. During the interview, a comment popped up on Liu's screen. It read, "The government isn't telling the truth. They said only several hundreds have died. I just don't believe it. The government leaders are sinners." The comment was deleted immediately. Comments praising the United States and healthcare system in the West also have to be scrubbed. Liu said deleting those types of comments is a priority. But China's internet users are finding ways around the censorship. They use acronyms and emojis to replace sensitive keywords. To keep up with increasingly strict censorship, people like Liu are hired to review the comments manually. He has over 200 coworkers who work day and night to delete comments and posts. Liu says he doesn't know how many staff members are in charge of moderating articles, videos, and photos. At the start of his interview, Liu had already deleted over 9,000 posts that day. He's required to delete a certain amount of posts every day to meet a quota. Software on his computer filters comments by sensitive keywords like virus, police, and government. The keywords are marked in different colors, which make them easier to delete. Liu explained that the posts he deletes aren't all rumors or negative comments, as defined by the government. He says the situation in China brought on by the virus is actually still in a bad state, but the government doesn't allow people to tell the truth. It only permits people sing the regime's praises and never allows truthful information to flow. Liu says he's really disappointed in China's leaders. Two notices on Chinese university websites show the Chinese regime is censoring research on the origin of the CCP virus. All research papers must first be approved by central authorities. It's the latest attempt to control the narrative on where it all began.
Notices from two leading Chinese universities show the Chinese regime is censoring research around the origin of the virus. The notices have since been deleted but remain archived online. One references China's Ministry of Science and Technology, which says any research around the virus's origin must first be approved by the ministry. The other says research should be strictly managed and submitted for review by the university before publishing. Universities in China are all tightly controlled by the state. It's the latest development in China's attempt to control the narrative surrounding the origin of the virus. China's original explanation claimed the virus likely came from an infected bat at a Wuhan seafood market, but an early investigation of the market found no bats were sold there. China then tried to pin the blame on America, saying it brought the virus to Wuhan, but it has since backtracked, admitting it began in Wuhan. The possibility that the virus is man-made and leaked from a lab is also circulating. The Wuhan Institute of Virology is just 10 miles from the seafood market. It houses more infectious diseases than any lab in Asia, including coronaviruses. Employees at the lab have been ordered not to talk to anyone about the new virus. China appointed its top military biowarfare expert to take over the lab at the beginning of February.
And in Wisconsin, a Chinese consulate asked a lawmaker to praise the Chinese regime for helping to stop the spread of the virus. But in the end, they got the opposite of what they were looking for. NTD's Miguel Moreno has more from the senator.
In February, the Chinese consulate of Chicago asked a Wisconsin lawmaker to praise China's efforts to stop the spread of the virus. The consulate even emailed the senator with their own resolution, and in March, they followed up with a revised version.
I just couldn't believe the brazenness that they would have to try and influence what we're doing here. I've never ever had that, where a foreign government passed us a resolution to introduce for anything.
But Senator Roth wasn't having it. Instead, he proposed a resolution in March condemning the CCP for hiding information that could have slowed the spread. The Chinese consulate's resolution said China has been transparent and quick in sharing key information of the virus with the WHO and the international community, thus creating a window of opportunity.
So they say that they were creating a window of opportunity. The only window the Chinese Communist Party created was a window of opportunity for this virus to spread from the Wuhan province to the entire world, thus creating the pandemic that we have now.
The senator's resolution says the state of Wisconsin stands with the Chinese people who are held hostage by the oppressive CCP. Roth introduced the resolution in March. He says it'll move forward in either May or June. Miguel Moreno, NTD News, New York.
Once home to bustling shopping malls, China's Yiwu City is struggling to stay afloat. Usually a hotspot for foreign wholesalers, many shops have now been forced to close their doors.
It was the world's largest small commodities market, but now it's strangely quiet. Yiwu International Trade City in southern Zhejiang province was the primary wholesale market in China. Within it, 75,000 booths and over 200,000 daily visitors. Vendors here sell to customers from around the world, and most of the goods sold are small household items and clothing. But now many shop owners here have closed their doors and stopped renting. Similar situation has also appeared with other markets in the city.
The sports and stationery goods market have closed for a while. The electronics, materials, and textile markets are open, but business is bad.
One landlord told Beijing News that his tenant, a phone accessory shop, shuttered and canceled its lease because of the outbreak. Now the owner won't come back despite an offer of 3 months rent-free. Some stores are still open, but there were barely any customers. Likewise, a video circulating online shows the city's biggest warehouse largely empty, its parking lot filled with only a few cars. The person who shot the video said the traffic jams used to be so bad here that cars couldn't even move.
Yiwu depends heavily on foreign trade. Now that the situation in other countries is so serious, the whole world is closing up. It will definitely affect us. I think there will be a global depression, and China will have a hard time.
According to official data, nearly half of the city's 2017 GDP came from its exports. But in January and February, China's exports decreased over 17%.
A Wuhan resident has been threatened by the police around a dozen times after talking about the outbreak online and accepting interviews from foreign media. NTD Xu Wenrong has the story.
Since the early stages of lockdown, a group of volunteers creating various group chats on Chinese social media to show the situation at the epicenter and help people in need. Many were arrested and some have been threatened. Zhang Yi is one of them. Zhang Yi told us the police have been trying to silence him after he spoke to foreign media about the virus in Wuhan.
So the police have warned me more than 10 times, before and after, admonished me, and even came to my door to threaten me.
Zhang Yi said after many attempts of trying to silence him, the authorities are accusing him of financial fraud. After the lockdown started, some people couldn't leave their homes. Others who could go out collected information about where to get groceries and protective gear and which hospitals are giving virus treatments. Together with other volunteers, Zhang Yi crowdfunded a small sum to compensate them.
From beginning to end, we collected no more than $1,800 or $2,000, about that much. The police came forward to make a complaint because they have been monitoring our WeChat behind our backs. We all know that for every dollar we use, the police know more about us.
He added that the accusation against him may be an excuse for the authorities to arrest him and give him a criminal record.
They told me to shut up. They said I did something wrong. Okay, but show me the legal documents. Then I will shut up.
Zhang Yi urged the Wuhan police to wake up and stop suppressing people who are just trying to live and those who want to tell people what's really happening at the epicenter. Reporting by Hong Ning and Shi Wenrong, NTD News.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says the worst is over if we continue to be smart. The state has suffered more than 10,000 deaths from the virus.
New York is still at a plateau. Governor Andrew Cuomo announced Monday fewer people needing ventilators and fewer being admitted to the hospital with the disease. But they're still taking in about 2,000 people each day.
But on the other side of the healthcare system, people are being discharged on the other end.
Deaths dropped slightly from Saturday to Sunday, 758 to 671, still reaching around 700 per day. Cuomo announced Sunday his executive order directing employers to provide essential workers with cloth or surgical face masks to wear when directly interacting with the public. And New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio ordered all city workers who interact with the public to wear face coverings starting Monday.
We've already provided 1.4 million face coverings. To city workers, we will provide as many more as are necessary.
As for future plans, Cuomo is working with surrounding states to design a plan for reopening.
Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, Rhode Island.
That we can do anything better when we work together in this region.
The state's governors on their first public phone call Monday, emphasizing multi-state coordination is a major part of their strategy to get transportation and the economy up and running again. Melina Weiskup, NTD News, New York.
Cuomo also said it's crucial that businesses, schools, transportation, and the workforce coordinate. He's planning the next step to slowly loosen self-isolation requirements and add more essential workers. Amazon is putting new grocery delivering customers on a waiting list and shortening shopping hours at some Whole Foods stores. The company wants to serve existing grocery customers first during the CCP virus outbreak. Many shoppers trying to order groceries from Amazon found they could not because of a lack of delivery slots. Amazon said it would have to put all new online grocery customers on a waiting list starting Monday. In recent weeks, the company upped the number of its Whole Foods stores offering grocery pickup to more than 150 locations, up from 80 previously. Amazon also plans to shorten the hours that some Whole Foods stores are open to the public so that its employees can fulfill online grocery orders faster. Germany's Volkswagen says its U.S. dealers will provide cars for free delivery of all essential supplies to people in need. The automaker is asking dealers to use their loaner fleet to pick up and deliver the goods. Loaners are cars typically offered to customers to drive while their vehicles are in the shop for repairs. The company will let its loaner vehicles be called on for delivering food to a local food bank, transporting masks and gowns, and dropping off necessary items to people who can't leave home. Volkswagen said its dealers would not charge the group or person making these requests. OPEC and other oil-producing nations agreed to record production cuts never seen before, ending the oil production price war.
OPEC and oil-producing nations agreed on Sunday to cut oil output by a record amount as oil prices slumped amid the CCP virus pandemic. Measures to slow the spread of the CCP virus have destroyed demand for fuel. OPEC Plus sources said they expect the total global oil cuts to amount to more than 20 million barrels per day, Trump said. That's 20% of global supply. The cuts go into effect May 1st. Russia, Saudi Arabia, and the U.S. expressed satisfaction on the agreement. President Trump was optimistic that the deal would revive the industry. He said in a tweet, "The energy industry will be strong again, far faster than currently anticipated. Thank you to all of those who worked with me on getting this very big business back on track, in particular, Russia and Saudi Arabia." It's the biggest oil output cut ever. The cuts will remain active until April 2022, although they will gradually lessen after June.
Doctors' offices across the country are closing because there are less patients coming in because they are afraid of catching the virus. Some doctors are now using telemedicine as a way to treat patients who don't absolutely need to go to the hospital. NTD's Kevin Hogan has more.
So, you know what we're going to do, right?
Telemedicine is gaining popularity as more walk-in clinics close from lack of foot traffic and government advice to keep social distance. Family physician Dr. Levy in New York City now treats patients from home. He's trying to avoid sending them to the hospital if it's not necessary.
Because most of the work we do on telemedicine is reassure people that they are okay, that they will be okay. Also, because of the confinement, it's very important that we are all in touch with family, friends, colleagues, and your doctor.
Dr. Levy says most people who get the virus and who aren't at high risk, like those who are elderly or have lung or heart conditions, will be okay. He adds that only about 20% of victims need to visit the hospital, but most of his patients are still concerned about the virus, some without good reason.
99%. The majority of patients, if they have something like a problem in their small index finger, they think it's corona.
The CCP virus has taken a toll on him, too. He's had to lay off some employees, and he says he needs to de-stress after absorbing so many of his patients' worries on a daily basis.
People think that we as doctors or police or nurse or whatever, that we are superhumans. We're not. We have the same feelings as everyone. We suffer the same way.
Hi, good morning.
As he works to reassure others, he says he'd like some reassurance too. But as soon as the crisis is over, he plans to rehire his employees. Kevin Hogan, NTD News, New York.
Some updates from around the world now as France extends its lockdown until May 11th.
French President Emmanuel Macron announced he is extending the lockdown until May 11th and admitted that the country was not sufficiently prepared for the crisis. He gave details of the planned exit strategy, saying that schools and creches would be the first to gradually reopen. A French Navy ship carrying 50 crew members who tested positive for the CCP virus docked on Sunday in its home port in the south of France. And in the UK, Britain's finance minister told colleagues the economy could shrink by up to 30% this quarter because of the restrictions. This according to reports in the British newspaper, The Times. The paper cited unnamed cabinet ministries who seem to want to relax measures next month. Apparently, they are worried the cure could be more damaging than the disease in the long term. But with the Prime Minister recovering from the virus, it's unclear if the UK's measures will be eased anytime soon. Moving to wildfires in northern Ukraine, which have been raging for over a week. The blaze is nearing the abandoned Chernobyl nuclear power plant. Emergency services dropped over 300 tons of water on the fires on Sunday. More than 300 emergency workers, 3 planes, and 3 helicopters are involved in the operation. And designer brand Louis Vuitton has stopped making its highly coveted bags at some of the workshops in France. Instead, it's making face masks. Companies across Europe and the U.S. are shifting their operations to produce items like face masks, hand sanitizer, and ventilators, which are much needed during the pandemic.
And back in New York, a day in the life of its charity workers, one of many heroes fighting to save a city under siege.
Carla Brown's day started in a typical New York City fashion, with a commute on a crowded subway car. But lately, those crowds have come with added anxiety. Brown is the executive director of a nonprofit with a contract for the city's Meals on Wheels, here supervising employees as they load up food bound for elderly residents.
Many seniors who have not been on our program have been dependent on other people to come and feed them, but those people can't come out anymore. So it's a really big issue for us to make sure that people are fed and also safe.
Food deliveries have changed in the weeks. Normally accustomed to interacting with the food recipients, many now ask for the meals to be left at the door with no interaction. On one visit, a client's home health aide asked for the meal to be placed on a windowsill at the far end of the hall. But despite the stress that the virus has brought the community, Brown says she's optimistic the city will bounce back.
We've been through so many things before, Hurricane Sandy, 9/11, and we're still standing, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
Looking for something to do while stuck at home? How about a full triathlon? That's what one Olympic champion did on Saturday and raised hundreds of dollars for charity at the same time.
2008 triathlon Olympic champion Jan Frodeno completed a full Ironman triathlon in his home on Saturday. His efforts raised more than $200,000 for charity. The German is currently under coronavirus lockdown in Girona, Spain, but he didn't let it stop him. He swam over 2 miles in his countercurrent pool, cycled over 100 miles on his roller trainer, and ran an almost 30-mile marathon on his treadmill, all in just over 8.5 hours. A 3-time Ironman world champion, Frodeno was raising money for healthcare institutions in Girona and the Laureate Sport for Good Foundation. The spread of the virus has wreaked havoc on the sporting calendar. So far, it has forced the postponement of every major event this year, including the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games and the Euro 2020 Football Championship. The entire triathlon was streamed live. Other athletes, including cycling greats Fabian Cancellara, Chris Hoy, and tennis legend Boris Becker, also joined the live stream to support the German in his effort.
Thanks for watching China in Focus by NTD. We are here to bring you the latest, honest, unbiased news. Don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates. See you next time.